What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are finally doing an interview at the Mercury Lounge. It only took about a year and a half, but what a great band to have our first interview here. We are here with Jay of Etherius. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's so awesome to have you here. You know, when Adrenaline PR sent me the Thread of Life record, it was definitely something different. First and foremost, how was the making of the Thread of Life?
It was a lot of fun. Most of the actual recording was pretty easy because we did all the work in pre-production. Like, we really busted our asses in the pre-production stage. What happened was originally I was going to do a solo album, and that's like where these songs came from. I wrote all the music for it, but the band helped out with the arrangements and things like that. And I was going to do a solo album, and when I started jamming with Zach, I kind of realized that he has a lot of great ideas himself. I kind of realized that it needed to be a band thing, and that was when Chris came in and John came in, and everybody has ideas for new music, and they're all amazing ideas. So that was when I decided not to just make it a solo album, to make it like a real actual band.
Yeah. Well, what I found really interesting as we were talking before the camera started rolling is that, a lot of people hear instrumental guitar music now. A lot of them are going to immediately jump to the conclusion that it sounds like Animals as Leaders or Intervals or Chan or any band like that. But, you're really influenced, as you mentioned, by like power metal and symphonic metal. So clearly you had like a preconceived idea on how you wanted to make this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think there's any bands doing instrumental music in that style. Everyone's doing, like you said, the whole Chan, Polyphia, Animals as Leaders. And that's cool. That's all great music, but there's no one doing like something that's modern but kind of rooted in like old school thrash and power metal, maybe a little prog, Dream Theater, Symphony X kind of stuff. So that's where I was coming from when I was putting the music together. That's the music I grew up on, so of course it's going to have an influence on me.
Yeah. Do you think with this style of music not having lyrics that maybe it's like easier, that you don't need to have like a traditional song structure like verse, chorus, or anything like that?
Well, it's funny you mention that because that's actually how I write music. Even though there's no vocals, I write it from that perspective of having a verse, a chorus. I want every song to have a hook to it. And so when I write guitar melodies, I try to think like a singer. If I play something, can someone write lyrics to this and sing over it? So I think that because of that, the melodies I think they're catchy, but I think they're easy to hum to. I think it's something that people who don't know anything about music can get into because you can hum it. It's not, we do crazy fast stuff at times, but we don't go overboard with it. I try to play that when I need to and then bring it back when I need to, because I want people who don't play an instrument to get into our music.
It's really interesting that you say that. And I'd imagine, because I've noticed when I was interviewing Angel Vivaldi couple weeks ago back at the Fear the Riff, he says that his style of instrumental music is very conceptual and like there's a message behind it. But message or no message, it seems like the style of music that you play, like it's always open to interpretation, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can see it however you want. I mean, this record had a concept in the sense that the album art and the song titles were kind of rooted in ancient Greek mythology, and I think the music kind of fits that vibe, which is funny because the music was written before we even had a concept. The concept was like the last thing that we came up with, but because of those stories kind of go with that style of playing, and power metal and symphonic metal is very European. If it fits, it works.
Yeah, and I almost feel like, you can do a show, like, you're playing with the Astral Cadence tonight, very proggy instrumental, man, but I could almost see you doing a tour with, like, Yngwie Malmsteen or, like, even, like, a Sabaton or something like that because of all these different elements.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to. Yngwie's one of my favorite players, so if Yngwie's watching this, take us on tour.
Yeah, that was a fun show. That was a fun show. Now, what I was really curious about is, as we were talking about, you used to play with Angel Vivaldi, and like he's
not used to, still do.
Oh, you still do?
I still do.
Oh,
yes.
That's awesome. But well, I was curious because being both an instrumental guitar player for both bands, is it like a completely different mind frame playing with him as opposed to Etherius?
I mean, it is in a sense that he writes all the music. It's his music, and I play on the albums, and I play live. So really, my job with him is actually kind of easy. I just show up. I learn the songs. I show up for the gigs, and we play. With Etherius, obviously, I'm more involved. I help write the songs. I'm involved in the artwork and the production. So everything besides the music, the business side and the artistic, the visual side. So with Angel, I'm just focusing on one thing. With Etherius, I'm doing multiple things.
Okay. It's cool, and I'd imagine doing multiple things with this project. I mean, the almost like the boundaries are limitless. I'm not to say that you're like with Angel, you're not just like a hired gun. You probably like do bring some creativity to the table, right? Do you think that maybe working with Etherius could help bring some stuff to Angel, maybe?
I mean, I wouldn't say no, but Angel is very set in how he likes to write music. So he and I write differently. He comes from a different place than I do, so I don't really see that happening, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. I wouldn't say no completely, but
Yeah.
it's his thing, and I think that's the way it should be, because it's his name. So
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now, in terms of the style of music that you play, being that, the soloing is pretty relentless and there's constant soloing, do you have to like hear background music as a whole and like work off of a scale, or do you like improvise in the soloing? Like I've always thought like when I once interviewed Herman from Dragon Force, and he says you have to look at the song as a whole before you lay like a solo over it. So
there's a part of that. You definitely have to look at the song as a whole. If funny enough, a lot of the parts, a lot of the different sections on this record started off as like etudes, musical etudes, like practice exercises that I would come up with. And like the one section in the song March and Defy, like halfway through, there's like a very neoclassical, I'm doing a pedal point technique. And that whole section started off as just an exercise that I was trying to do to improve different techniques with the guitar. And it just I ended up throwing it into the song, and it worked.
really,
Yeah.
that's interesting. And that was the process for all 6 songs on the record.
Not all of them. Some of them, like the song "Thread of Life" was a song that I had going back to my previous band. That song mostly was from like 2009, 2010. Like when I first got a 7-string guitar, like that main riff was the first thing that I played when I got a 7-string guitar. So the instrument kind of inspired the music in a sense. And then, like The Inevitable End, I had the whole song, all the riffs, I had the drum arrangements, I had it all worked out, and then I went back and worked on the leads. So it was different. Like March and Defy, like I said, came together piece by piece. Thread of Life was something that I wrote kind of quickly, many years ago, and then Inevitable End was a song that was done, and then I went back later and added the leads to it.
Interesting. It's cool that like each song was a different experience. It wasn't like you just had like a blanket template for all of them, right?
Yeah, and even like Lament too. That song started out as an acoustic thing that I did, and when Zach got a hold of it, he had all these rhythmic ideas for the drums, and when he started adding those ideas, I thought, let's make it a little bit heavier. So we kept the verses like laid back with the acoustic guitars and the string arrangements, and then when it goes to the main hooks, it gets heavy, and then he comes in with a heavier drum beat, and it completely changed the song from what it originally was.
Which is awesome. And I imagine, because I forgot to bring this up before, but you coming from Angel Vivaldi and Zach playing with Sonaro and Tanger Calvary and the 47 other bands that he's in, like it seems like there's so much different elements you could bring in just with the members too, right?
Yeah, I mean, Zach in particular, besides being an awesome drummer, he's actually a really killer guitar player, and he actually came up with a guitar part for this album that for the song it was the Soothsayer. There's a section in the middle where he is like a guitar keyboard unison line. That was his. He came up with that idea. So, and he played all the keyboards. He and I worked out the arrangements for the keyboards, but he played them because he's a pretty good piano player. So
the next question I want to ask you is there anything that Zach doesn't do?
He doesn't sing, but he doesn't need to.
Yeah. Watch, he's probably going to take the mic tonight. Your band is going to have vocals tonight. I see you coming.
I hope not.
Now, one thing that I wanted to really talk to you about is because you're based in New Jersey, right?
Yep.
So, New Jersey, New York, I consider Jersey to be the 6th borough at this point. But, like, there happens to be, like, a scene of instrumental music here. You know, you guys, the Astral Cadence, Valence, Angel Vivaldi. Mark Rizzo does all of his instrumental
Yeah.
shows here. They're really Fall of the Albatross, you name it. So,
Yeah.
like, do you think that for the style of music that you do and coming from where you're from, it's kind of easier to sort of get the name of your music out there?
I think it. Yes and no. I think when there's more bands, there's more competition. You know, because when you think about, especially in the instrumental genre, it's a very specialized niche. So there's a lot of bands that are kind of competing for the same fans. So writing great music is very important. You have to have good music, good visuals. You know, because people will forget. You know, there's so many other bands that take up their time. You have to have something unique that people are going to go, wow, that was really good. You know, this band stands out from all these other bands. I really like this. So it's definitely a lot harder because not that you're trying to be in competition with other bands, but you're all kind of fighting for the same fan base in a sense.
It's true. Luckily, this is the only instrumental show happening tonight. So.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, I actually thought about, like, getting, like, just, like, a big showcase of, like, you guys, Angel Vivaldi, Sandhat, Paranosis, Fall of the Albatross, Valence, Astral Cadence, like, Narc, like, just, like, every single...
Get every band from the area and just do a big show, yeah.
Called The Night of Shut Up and Play.
Shut up and play your guitar, you know, like the Frank Zappa record.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the final question I want to have is, because with the style of music that you do, I was wondering what kind of fucking guitar do you have? You said you use a 7-string, right?
I do. I'm endorsed by Kiesel, so I have 2 Kiesels that I'm playing tonight. They're all like my main touring guitars, and I use the white one that I use for the whole record, all the guitar tracks, and then so just that 7-string guitars, and then I'm just running a Fractal with a 2x12 cabinet and a power amp. Very simple setup.
That's impressive, because I've seen bands that play a similar style of instrumental music, and they have a bigger pedal board than Tom Morello.
Yeah, mine is just a MIDI controller for switching sounds. I have a wireless and a tuner, and that's it.
Thank God. What kind of tuning are you in?
It's all standard.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. No drop A sharp minor flat 7.
All right, so actually I'm lying. There's a new song that we're going to play tonight, a brand new song that's going to be on the next record that's in drop A. But that's it.
Sell out.
Yeah, I know, I'm terrible. But that's it. It's all standard tuning.
Awesome. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time. It's great to be here with you today. That's Book of Harmony sound testing in the background.
Yeah, they sound great.
Yeah, it does really. This venue always has great sound. But just before we go, any shout-outs you'd like to give, or any? You said you're working on new music already. Just what can we be expecting from Etherius?
Yeah, another record next year. We're writing new songs now. We're going to be playing shows throughout the fall, and I hope to do a tour next year, hopefully.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
I have big things planned.
Awesome.
Working hard on it. So
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time, Jay.
Yeah, thank you.
Everybody, we are here with Jay of Etherius. Pick up Thread of Life if you haven't already. It is absolutely awesome. This is Alex from Heavy New York at the Mercury Lounge. We'll see you next time.